Well, aloha everyone. Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. I'm going to have to do this again. I just made the video lesson. I accidentally deleted it. So anyway, we're just going to say that the market, notice how we had a V-shaped rally right into the resistance of the 200 simple moving average and 62 Fibonacci retracement. And we are now rolling over on back-to-back distribution days. Notice the volume is picking up over the volume during that most recent little V move higher. Once again, proving my point. Low volume rallies always end the same way. Heavy volume reversals. The DIA is confirming. The IWM looks bad, and the QQQ, same situation. Now, that being said, I am still hopeful that this pullback can be viable. My first support level that I'm really watching is the 264 level on the SPY. That's this previous resistance level that then became support here. We'll see if we bounce from there. If not, I say that we've got to fill that gap. If we keep selling off, we got to fill this gap. And if we fill this gap, I'll consider that a test of the March lows. We'll see how we react from there. But I remind everybody that it's hard to call a bottom when you don't have capitulation volume at the lows and or retest of the lows. To me, this still looks like a bear market dead cat bounce. But at the same time, we've bounced so far off the lows that if we can find any kind of support, if I can get that VIX back under 30, preferably, my methodology does best when it's under 20, get some hot chart patterns, some hot setups, some hot signals, which I don't have. They do not exist out there at all. There's a few that tried to set up, but they were a little extended, and I have one that's actually kind of failing on me, but the losses are tiny, which then brings me to my next point. Win-loss ratio is not important. Right now, I believe I have a win-loss ratio from this March low under 50%, and somehow I'm not making a lot of progress. I'm lagging the market by a lot because I'm not investing a large amount of capital per signal. But my win-loss rate, despite being lower than 50%, I'm making money in aggregate on my winners. And I'll remind people how that happens. If I'm even right, only 1 out of 10 trades, if I cut my losses on those 9 trades at 1%, and on my 10th trade, I'm up 25%, I'm up 16% on my capital. But I only have a 10% win-loss ratio. Let's change that then with the guy that's got a 90% win rate, and on 9 trades, he has 1% wins, but on his 10th trade, he has a 50% loss. Way to go, bud. You got a 90% win-loss ratio. Too bad the one time you're wrong, you lose it all. So always remember that. It's not about how many times you win till you lose, though you want to stack the trades over, you want to stack your percentages obviously over 50%. But when you're in a market environment that's under 50% for your current methodology, that's when you got to take a step back. And that's what I'm doing. The weekly and monthly time segment volume lines are still bearish on all of the indices. I think on the QQQ, the monthly went positive for a minute, and same with the weekly, but it's back to being bearish on all the indices. I got a VIX above 30. I don't have the hot charts, and my price volume in the overall market is completely screwed up. With that, when that's the case, I really pull it back. So I really am not investing that much there. Also, when that happens, it so sucks because how many times have I mentioned CODX to members in the past few months? 1,000 times? 2,000 times? This was a legit signal this day, but do you see how the balance of power drops off? I don't take it. Then I get another signal, even with the pocket pivot point signal, but do you see how BOP is going the wrong way? Due to that and the big percentage move that it had, I passed on it again. And look at CODX ripping higher. I mean, it's just beautiful. Even from that signal, there's 135% gain. I'm sad that I missed out on it after mentioning it about 1 trillion times. But, it is what it is. If you're not playing the sweeps like VTIQ, the sweeper action on Thursday and Friday, and look at this move in this leading stock, if you're not playing the sweeper action in these leading stocks that are just aggressively running higher without any entry area, and if you're not day trading, and if you're trying to follow my methodology and plan on getting rich in this kind of market environment, you're not. You got to day trade. We got some members in the chat room that are around all day long, and they're trading has been on point. I mean, they're following the right stocks. They're alerting the right stocks. And whenever I'm around, I'm always alerting and telling guys when the proper entry points are, what to look for. Just living on Maui is a really tough deal. And that's what the whole point behind this methodology is. It's for people that normally work full-time jobs or live in a terrible time zone or in a situation where you can't day trade. And there's times when my methodology is in favor and there's times when it's not in favor. And right now, it's not in favor. That being said, things are still working out pretty well, and that can be seen here whenever we go over the sell signals. So before we look at the new long signals, I want to let everybody know what triggered and filled on my end today. The first long position to trigger and fill today was FNGD, and FNGD is working. You'll notice the white triangle. That means that I'm now in the stock. The signal was the day before. I'm now in FNG. I'm adding a stop 1 cent below today's low of day. I have 2 stops on FNGD. I also got filled on my RXD hedge. I'm adding a stop to 1 cent below today's low of day. And I got filled on my SOX S hedge, and I'm adding a stop 1 cent below today's low of day. And then I also got filled on my DPZ position. And this is how I'm trading it. In an era of $0 commissions, this should not cost you anything because swing trading should be done in low cost or no cost commission brokers. First stop, second stop, third stop, final stop. If you want to be super aggressive with your stops, you got it this uptrend line. A close below that uptrend line, you'll get completely out of the position because it's better to be wrong with small losses than to hold on and be wrong big. And on that note, we do have some sell signals. RCL, this was the signal date here. You can see we got, you can see that, come on, work with me, Telchart. You can see that we got a nice 30% gain. You should have been taking profits on the way up, but now it is closing below its May lows after already being below the 20-day simple moving average on heavier volume. So that is a 50% sell signal, 6.5% loss on an end-of-day basis. 50% of your stops need to be here. Your final stop should be at this low area right there on RCL. Also, ATKR has closed below its May low, so this is another 50% end-of-day sell signal. Once again, moved up 15%. You got to take profits on the way up in this market, but ATKR on an end-of-day basis, that's just a 1% loss. Then, on the speculative side, just to show you the flip side, we've got a negative 6% loss, a negative 1% loss. FIT has fully failed. That is on an end-of-day basis a 4% loss. So take all those into consideration with the BIMI 50% sell signal. This was the entry signal. That's a 2% gain. That's a 50% sell signal on an end-of-day basis. KNSA is a 50% sell signal on an end-of-day basis. I just happened to add it because I took all my profits because of the interactive broker situation. But that's an 8% gain. So already the 8% gain in KNSA and BIMI, 10%, has just made up for the RCL, FIT, and ATKR losses at 10%. And then on top of that, we have one other 50% sell signal, and this is where it all works out. ELA, closing below the 20-day simple moving average on heavy or above average volume with red bop. You can see the signal was already back here. This is another 50% sell signal, this time with a 117% gain. So those are the sell signals ahead of Thursday's session. Do we have any long signals? Yes. I have 2 quality long signals, and I thought I got a great speculative long signal for Platinum members, and I've already given it out in the chat room, and I'll post it on the watch list, but unfortunately, it has earnings after the close tomorrow. So if you do take it, it's got to be a lotto trade, small size. Can't have any conviction, but we're not going to go over it here. And since this video is public, I'm only going to go over one of the long signals out of the 2 quality long signals. The first one, and the only one we'll go over in this video lesson, UBER. So Uber, what I see here is a bullish hammer candle over candle pattern right on top of the 200-day moving average on above average volume with BOP holding the previous day's strong green level. If BOP would have fallen, I would not be taking this trade. Now, Uber is in my perfect speculator scan, which is my top of the line scan that looks at stocks near their 52-week highs that have already made previous measured 100% moves from their lows to their highs within that 52 weeks. So Uber qualifies for that scan. Uber also made one of my highly liquid, higher price scans. So normally I would double upsize with Uber, but unfortunately Uber is not only extended from its 20-day simple moving average, but its 10-day simple moving average. So I'm going to keep my size as the regular size. I've been trading it since the end of 2018 because the monthly TSV has not confirmed any of this move higher in the market. Whenever the market was rallying here from 2018 to 2020, the monthly TSV remained negative the entire time. The only index that was confirmed via that negativity was the IWM, which never eclipsed its 2018 highs. We all know what happened. Well, from the March lows to these highs, the weekly and the monthly TSV has never turned positive. So there is no conviction I can have behind any signal, and I really can't, increase size for any signal per my rules. So the game plan with Uber with this setup is a good to cancel buy stop order at 33.07 and a good to cancel buy limit order at 33.40. I only want it up and through 33.06, triggering at 33.07. I do not want it on a gap up and pull back unless the bid, ask, and price all gets below 33.07. Then I'll call the trade back on. If it does trigger up and through and fills, whatever Thursday's low a day is my first stop. My second stop then is 1 cent below the 512 low a day, which would be 30.40. And my final stop is where the volume really picks up post earnings with the BOP surge at 20. I cannot see anymore. 57. I wish the optometrist would open around Maui. So 29.57. I believe that's what it says. My perfect vision is ruined. That's the final stop. So that'll be the final stop. This will be the second stop, and the third stop will be whatever tomorrow's low a day is if it triggers and fills on Uber. Now, I have one more quality long position that I'll post for members, and then I also have a speculative trade idea that I'll post on the speculative watches page, but I can't take it. Not ahead of earnings. It's just too risky. And I also wanted to show people about what it looks like when a signal fails and what we do. So SAVE was a high quality signal on this session right here. Remember, you do not go long unless it triggers up and through 1069, triggering the buy stop at 1070. On SAVE, that never happened. So nobody should be long SAVE per my rules. SAVE remained true despite the pullback because it maintained green BOP. But on today's session, it sold off below the lows, which basically was going to be my final cut loss level. If it did trigger and fill here, let's say it moved up and through the next day instead of doing nothing, that was going to be my final cut loss level anyway. So we would have failed. The low a day is 952, so we would have failed yesterday. Wouldn't have mattered today. But with today's move below the low a day here on heavier above average volume with it losing green BOP, I now cancel that order. That signal has now failed and is false, so will not be a new signal. It's done. It's over. There's another high quality long signal sum that was on that day also. It never triggered either because it never traded up and through 1395, triggering the stop at 1396. But you'll notice while it sold off, while it's below my final cut loss level now, it still has green BOP. So I'm still keeping the signal on the book in case it reverses. Here's another one that's still on the books. This was the signal date. Never triggered up and through my price. It's pulling back. The signal has not failed. But SAVE is what it looks like when a signal has failed. All right, everybody. My views are down on YouTube. What's going on, man? Share this video lesson to your friends if you think that they can learn something from this, if you think they'll enjoy it. If not, give me a thumbs up. Ring the bell, subscribe, leave some comments, talk to me outside of my chat room. I'm pretty lonely on the social media aspect. I don't get a whole lot of love out there. I would love to get some love. I would love it, love it, love it. So if you enjoyed the video lesson, please give me a thumbs up. I love making these videos, but man, if views keep declining, I might stop doing the middle of the week wrap-ups and just do it on the weekend because it takes me a lot of time to do these video lessons. Even though I don't do any personal editing on my end. It's just a lot of good, free, valuable information that just seems to be wasted out there. But, my views are under 200. I'd like to get them back over 200. I'll see everybody in the chat room that is a member of the website on Thursday morning. Aloha.